If you don't succeed, I don't succeed. My success is made through other agents.
Let's roll. Let's do this. So we are here back for yet another round. This is round 6 of the Broker Showdown. Can't believe it. We're moving right along. I've got people booked all the way through July and then some. So these are a lot of fun. If you're just joining us, maybe this is the first episode you're tuning into. Welcome. The Broker Showdown is exactly what it kind of sounds like, where it's not your average podcast or live stream. The only rule really of the game is 3 questions apiece. Anything goes. So it's not to try and stump each other, but it's just picking the minds of influential leaders, coaches, the movers and shakers out there. And today I'm joined with my good friend Gina. She's actually a coach with The Locker Room, as well as an exclusive partner of The Locker Room. So you're going to get to know Gina at a very high level for round 6 here of the Broker Showdown. Gina, thank you so much, first of all, for joining us today. And let's do the proper thing before I get too excited here and have you just, 30 seconds or less, tell us who you are, where you're from, all the goodness.
Yeah, thanks so much. And thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today. As Jake said, my name is Gina Ferrer. I am from Canton, Ohio. I'm a productivity coach here in our market center, as well as a growth partner and locker room coach, as Jake had mentioned. I've been selling real estate now for, I hate to say it because it ages me, but 27 years, and coaching for about 8. So excited for our little powwow today.
Absolutely. Well, we are excited as well. And we've had this on the books for several weeks now, and the time has come. So a little bit about me real quick. I won't take too much time if this is our first chance hanging out together. Again, my name is Jake, founder and CEO of The Locker Room Real Estate Coaching and Training Company. We specialize in actually partnering with broker owners, leaders, okay? And we focus on 4 key areas of growth, retention, productivity, and profitability. We coach, consult the leaders while simultaneously training the agents into increased production. So I'm also co-founder in a company called the Locker Room Leadership and Coaching Academy with my partner Kit. That is an ICF accredited institution, so you can go through it and get your International Coaching Federation certificate as a result of that. So that's pretty cool. And just overall entrepreneur, got a background in playing college and professional baseball, hence the locker room analogy or symbolism here. And we conduct these broker showdowns just to feature leaders of leaders and tap into the insights of people that are out there making things happen. So without further ado, Gina, I'm going to slide right into my first question, because this is my TV show and I get to go first.
All righty, I'm ready.
So here's my first question. And those of you following know that I like to ask this, but don't rest on your laurels. So here's my first one. If I was an agent in your market right now, considering a change in brokerages, as a coach of a very successful coaching program, yourself, you are, what is your unique value proposition and why would I consider joining you and your coaching program if I was looking to make a change?
Yeah, I love that question because I deal with this pretty much on a daily basis because I spend a lot of my time talking to new and agents with brokerages who are considering making a change. So I always like to say first, my value proposition is that my success is made through other agents. If you don't succeed, I don't succeed. So I really put a lot of emphasis on that. But what that might look like, so if I was talking to you, Jake, and you said, Gina, why should I come to your brokerage or consider it? I would start with asking some questions. Tell me what you love about your brokerage. Tell me what challenges you're having, and really drilling down to find out really what someone's pain point is at that moment. And then leading into, so what kinds of things are you looking for in a brokerage? And then that helps me know what direction, because there's so many things that I could say and I could get a little long-winded. So I want to know what the most important highlighted things are before we dive in. But then I'm going to go into kind of just showing them what they're going to experience once they get here and enter into my program. I like to mention that I am a mentor, a trainer, and a coach. I think those are 3 very different things. So as a trainer, I provide classes. I provide group structure where I'm, giving them trainings. There's lots of resources that they get to access from my Google training folder, as well as a partner of the Locker Room. The entire university and the national training that they're going to be getting, from the locker room. But as a coach, I do regular one-on-ones. And what we're doing is building a roadmap of, how are we going to intertwine real estate into their life? So I probably would ask a little bit about what that's been looking like at their brokerage. Does their, leadership there do things like, building a business plan, using different tools like we have here at KW, like a GPS? And what does that look like for them? And then, the one-on-one part of it, like helping them if they've never listed a house before, meeting with them to show them how to do things like that. A lot of people will transfer here that have maybe come from a team and they've only worked with buyers and they want to dip their toe in the seller end of things, really just finding out what it is that they're looking for so I can expand on that. And then the mentor part, and this is usually what helps particularly new agents make a decision. I'm that go-to. So when they're writing their first offers and they're negotiating, issues and holding the deal together, I'm going to be that hands-on deck person that's going to walk them through that whole process.
I love all of that. I do. And very well put, very succinct. So this ain't your first rodeo. And those of you who hear that probably also not just heard the words, but heard the conviction, the deep-seated belief in her voice for the value she provides agents. A couple things I wrote down, just if I may share with a follow-up question. So I heard a couple very important things. Number one, you don't just start talking. My question was, I'm an agent exploring, hypothetically. You tell me what your unique value proposition was, and in true coach fashion, you flipped it around for say, no. I'm not just going to vomit all over you how great we are. You ask questions first, very important note there, to figure out what's important to them. What do they value? What do they look for in a brokerage? And then you pair that with how you and your program or brokerage can meet that desire of theirs. I thought that was very well handled. The other thing you said, I think worth noting, is it's almost like the trifecta: coach, mentor, trainer. It depends on the situation, which hat you are wearing. And we have to know, all right, time to take that hat off. Now it's time to put this hat on, and making sure that you understand first and foremost the distinction between the three, but the people you're leading and pouring into also know the distinction. Two-parter, I guess. I lied. I have two follow-up questions. One, how do you go about deciphering who you're being in that moment with that agent? And two, are there any common struggles as a coach, as a leader, that you often find agents going through right now?
Yeah, so let me answer that first. So right now, I'm finding a lot of agents aren't full-time in real estate. So their biggest struggle is how to balance dual career with real estate. And so that's where a lot of my one-on-one time comes in. So I'm having to, meet them where they're at. What is it that you need help with, and how can I help you become productive? And so we work through that. Production, of course, is always on the table as something that, some people sell more than others. And, what are your goals, and how can we build a plan for you specifically in your life to be able to reach those goals? I always tell my agents or recruits, it's not my job to create the mold and make you become that, but that I will mold the program around what it is you need and what your goals are you set for yourself.
And then how do you balance between those three different hats, and maybe some scenarios that you can give to know which is which?
For sure. So like things that I can teach the masses, that's a class. You know what I mean? So I'm putting that together as a class. Things that need to be done one-on-one, those are the more personal things, such as goal planning and how can I, help you get through a situation. I've definitely become a therapist in those situations. And then is it just transactionally? There's definitely people in my program and have been over the years that literally, and I appreciate the direct and honesty, that say this: hey, Gina, whether or not I have another job or I just, am at home with my kids or whatever they're doing, I only need this from you. I'm never coming to a class. I don't need training on that. I just want to know that somebody's there to help me through it. So like, I love discovering that that's what they're wanting. And hey, if that's what they're wanting, then I'm willing to do it, I guess.
Love it. Yeah, you're very, very good at not just coaching and training, obviously, but meeting people where they're at. I've admired that a lot. You don't make people feel crazy or dumb or whatever. it's meeting where they're at and then just maybe getting a little further ahead or chapter ahead to push them or to guide them in the direction of what they want. So really good stuff. All right. Anything else to add? Otherwise, over to you for question 1 to me.
Yeah, I'm excited for my question. What do you believe is the biggest difference between an agent who hits a ceiling from one who breaks through it? How can you coach to best support both types of agents?
Well, dang. That's a good first question. I can't wait to see what the other two are. Okay. The first part of your question, the agent who's hitting their head against the ceiling versus the agent who breaks through it, what's the difference essentially, or how would I coach to that? From my experience, and that's all I can truly draw from, let alone the experience of others, I'll say it this way, and I kind of teased this on the last Broker Showdown. If you guys missed it, definitely go back and check that one out. And that is this. I'll frame it in form of analogy first. I used to give kids baseball lessons. I ran a company, my own indoor baseball training facility called the Player's Edge back in the day. And I would teach these kids how to grip a baseball and hold the bat and do the fundamentals, the mechanics of the game the right way at a very young age. Because I would explain to them what you're seeing those guys do, earning millions of dollars, the best of the best in the world on television, is I've seen the behind the scenes. I know that they put a ball on a tee and take hundreds of swings every day off of a tee and do the boring, mundane, repetitious stuff over and over to create mastery around a skill set. And I had kids who just wanted to, come on, coach, that's T-ball stuff. Can't we just get to insert blank? And I would say, no, until you're on television earning millions of dollars, you can do whatever you want then, but in the meantime, we're going to do it my way, the right way. And so where I'm going with that, what I found was the best athletes and best real estate agents that break through the ceiling rather than staying put and hitting their head have a couple things in common, a lot, but number one, they're coachable. To me, that means they're receptive to new ideas, new information, accountability, experimentation. They're receptive to these things to find that breakdown in order to lead to the next breakthrough. I also find that no different than my analogy last week, which is watch an NFL football game. Okay, you don't have to be a football or sports fan to get my reference here. But what happens is when there's a turnover on downs and the camera on television shows the quarterback going to the bench on the sidelines and sits down, the coaches hand him something. What did they just hand him? Well, it's a tablet. So in the quarterback's hand, you can see him scrolling this tablet. What's he looking at? He's looking at game film. He's studying frame by frame every play so that when they go out there next time, they can run the play a little bit better and then a little bit better. Where did I miss the block? How did we miss that wide receiver? He ran the wrong route, you name it. So the translation to this long-winded answer is agents who experience the breakthrough versus those who continually hit their head also has to do with the ability and willingness to study the game film, make real-time in-game adjustments and pivot on a dime so they're not making the same mistake over and over, hitting their head, but they're willing to say, oh, here's what went right, here's what went wrong, here's what I can do differently next time, let's go. Gina, you're aware we have an acronym called KISS, K-I-S-S, in the locker room. It's not keep it simple, stupid. It's 4 questions. What do I need to keep doing? What do I need to be more intentional about? What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? For those of you military, by the way, thank you for serving. You might recognize this as an AAR, after action review. It's the same thing. So I'm sorry to go on there, but those are at least a couple answers that come to mind to your question.
I love it. And I want to point out the coachable part. Like, we all need to be coachable, right? So like, you're my coach, you learn from someone else and it doesn't end. So I think that's what it is. So like, you won't focus necessarily on the things that maybe you can do better if you don't necessarily have someone holding you accountable. So I love that.
That's right. That's right. Cool. Thank you for the question. That was a very good one to start. I got my wheels moving. All right. Are you ready for number 2?
I'm ready.
All right. Number 2. I struggled with this one, Gina, because you lead a very successful coaching program of agents. However, you are equally as talented at coaching other leaders, coaching other coaches, right? So this is just my way of asking a question that covers both, maybe. So as a very successful coach of agents and leaders, I'm curious, what would you say are your top superpowers, rocking the air quotes, superpowers, and how you use them to lead, coach, develop other people.
Wow. Okay. So that's a dig deep and pat yourself on the back kind of question, which is, yeah, I love that. Okay, let me think about that a second. So probably the first one I might say is clarity creator / problem solver. I feel like a lot of my time is doing that. Actually, it's interesting because I find that I'm doing that also in my personal life. So it must just be something that I am attracted to doing. But by that, I mean that I can see the path. I can see what might be something that can be an obstacle in somebody's way. I love to be able to have those. I love when my agents come to me or coaches and say, hey, this thing is happening or not happening. And like, here's the scenario. What should I do? And I think it's truly important as a coach, but also as just someone who is in leadership to be there to serve and help, right? And part of that sometimes is getting them to be able to see past all of the junk that's in the way and get clarity. Because my intention there is to help them, but also I will be honest, I was that person who, like, when my kids made their bed when they went to school, when they left, I remade it. But the point there is that I let them do it. So I'm hoping at the end of the day that I'm helping them solve problems, but in a way that I'm teaching them how to be able to figure it out themselves later. That makes sense.
I said it does make sense. It makes a lot of sense. So your ability to cut through the noise, take whatever they're going through, which seems complex, and they can't see the forest from the trees kind of thing, and your ability to simplify, to scale down and break through, to just say, here's what you need to do now, and you do so through a line of questioning and or at the appropriate times some advice giving. Would that be fair?
And learning. Yeah, I feel like I always want to help. I have the tendency to want to just do it. It's quicker, right? It's much faster if I just take over and do it. But then no one's learning anything. So help them, but in a way that's teaching them how to then take care of themselves on that issue next time.
I love that. And first of all, any others to add to that? I asked for multiple, so feel free to keep going. I don't want to get hung up on this one.
That I'll be short. I was thinking about the next one. I love to create content for training. So like one of the things that really helped me be successful in my coaching program in the beginning was being able to look at the group that I had at the time and then design from their needs at that time, what was the training that might be most useful to them right now. And I love doing that. I am that person at 3:00 in the morning, a weird idea hits my brain, and all of a sudden I'm creating a class and I'm voice texting myself in the dark bedroom because I'm getting those ideas. You never know when they're going to come at you. So I feel like I've been able to grow my program and get people to want to be part of it, whether that be in other market centers or just right in my own market center, based on always focusing on what their needs are and being able to create trainings to provide them that information, I guess.
Okay. If you're watching this right now and maybe you're thinking to my question, what your answers would be, go ahead and drop those in the comment below. We'd love to see what would you say are your top 2 or 3 superpowers. I think it's a lot easier to come up with all the things that sometimes we're not so good at. And yet I'm asking you to put your humbleness aside and say, no, I'm really good at this. What are those 2 or 3 things? So Gina, I have a follow-up, but I'm going to force one more out of you. If there was one more superpower through your leadership and coaching styles, I've got taking complex and making it simple. I've got content creation, putting you on the spot. What's one more that you say, yeah, I'm damn good at that?
Something that I've just kind of done. I feel like I have a good knack for scaling leadership development. So I'll explain what I mean by that. Finding talent in our other brokerages. My OP owns 4 different brokerages, helping find the talent there to partner with. So I have hired other launch coaches in those locations and, mentoring and training them over the course of 2 years to be able to take over for me. So by scalable, I mean take the program, show them the way, be the coach there for a period of time. And then now I've gotten to the point where I can step back from that, and it's now running, not itself, they're running it now. So now I can step back and oversee. So finding the right person to put in those roles, showing them what I've done, what I do, give them resources that I've created and that we have, and then transition them into doing the same thing so that I can then sit back and focus on other things.
If anybody out there, I'll do it so you don't have to. If anybody else out there right now, whether you're an agent in your area of Ohio, or a leader, really an agent, really anywhere that's seeking help in one of three areas or all, taking something that's complex and needing help, making it simple, reach out to Gina. Need some ideas and content creation so it's relevant, timely, and you're getting better responses from those that you lead, reach out to Gina. And three, anybody who's interested in scaling their business, scaling their operations, and wants a third-party perspective, reach out to Gina. There, I did it. So very good. Thank you for that. Over to you.
All right. When you were a productivity coach, what specific things did you do differently from the other coaches out there that really moved the needle for your agents to build that strong culture and foundation to become so successful as you did as a productivity coach?
Thank you for that question. You know, I'm really passionate about this one and I have plenty to say, so I'll try and distill it down to one or two things maybe. Well, first of all, what is successful? Here's what we were able to achieve, and you guys can determine if that's of interest to you or not. But after 3 years in this particular office that I was leading a group of newer, certainly lesser experienced agents, in the first year, now granted, I did it for 3, but in the first year, we were able to go from nothing to generating $1 million of company dollar, $1 million of squeaky clean company revenue. How did we do that? Well, it was through the performance and production of the agents, because they, not me, but they, I was just coaching them, did 523 closings that first year, $124 million of sales volume that first year, $3.6 million of agent earned GCI that first year. So all of that production led to a profitability increase from the program of $1 million. How did we do it? What did I do different? Here's the thing. The backstory was I was transitioning at the time at Keller Williams from being a team leader to a productivity coach. And I, during that transition, legit interviewed 62 productivity coaches around the country. And I literally learned of 61 ways I knew I didn't want to do things. I was also handed a 4-inch thick game book that told me this is how you're going to succeed. For me, it wasn't useful because I've always believed you observe what the masses are doing and do the exact opposite. It's one of the quickest ways to success. I don't operate with a herd-like mentality. I wanted to be different and more successful than anybody else. So therefore, I felt I needed to do different things. Couple that I absolutely will go to my grave swearing up and down made the difference is one. One was most people were group coaching people to death. I was in sales. I didn't have anything else. If I wasn't coaching people, what the hell was I doing? And so for me, instead of making agents earn a one-on-one, I said, no, I'm going to flip that on its head. By default, every agent in my program gets 2 30-minute one-on-ones per month, and then I'm reasonably available in between. That was unheard of because most people just put them in group training is really what it was. And then if they met a certain quota, then they could earn a one-on-one spot on my calendar. Now, I didn't believe in that. The second thing I think I did really, really well is I made them buy into the idea of tracking their business so they would run their business like a business. We created a tracking system, and every one-on-one session, we went through their numbers. We didn't talk about the weather and what they had for dinner last night or what the stupid contract was that blew up in their faces. It was a business conversation. So we were able to extract and tell stories using data, using numbers, things that are unemotional. So we could just get down to the root cause of whatever was working. Let's do more of that. And whatever wasn't working, I got to play doctor, put on my lab coat and say, well, just like going to the doctor, they're going to wrap this thing around your arm and pump it and tell you what your blood pressure is. I get to be the doctor of your business. I know I have high blood pressure, hypothetically, because the numbers say so. It's not emotional. The numbers say so. If I'm not within this range, not good. Just like business. If I'm not within this range or whatever the numbers are saying, good, bad, indifferent, I believe prescription without proper diagnosis is malpractice. And I was not about to perform malpractice just because of what I thought or because of how my agent client felt. No, we're going to do it the right way. We're going to see what are the numbers saying and then be able to prescribe whatever the medicine or cure is for it. So that's my answer.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Yep. But it wasn't without a whole lot of trial and error and messing up, but those were two for sure. I did a great job telling the story to the agent and therefore telling the story universally through numbers and little things or not so little things like one-on-one versus group and just swimming in the opposite direction of everybody else. Question number 3. Describe a moment when a failure set you up for success later. And how did you navigate through that period of time, whatever the situation was?
Okay, well, I think I'm gonna keep to business, and I don't know that it's a failure, but I can tell you when I first started as the productivity coach 7 years ago, our first 6 months and even first year were very rocky. I would not have said, I definitely didn't have the first year you did. I started out with 5 people. I think by the end of 6 months, I was up to 8. They maybe had 3 closings, and I was starting to get really nervous that this was not going to work. I think that year they collectively, I might have got up to 10 agents and they closed maybe 20 transactions. So again, to some people that might not be a failure, but I definitely was starting to get nervous. Was this really cut out? Was I cut out to be doing this? But then I stopped really focusing on their numbers that way for me. And I just put together, what is the job? What is it that I need to do in pieces, parts? So recruiting, what do I need to do with that? And what do I need to do to get more agents? And then when I get more agents, what is my program going to look like? So for me, how I took, I mean, I guess I don't know if that's a failure, but to answer that question, what I felt was not the great first year and turn that into something was this consistency and action. So like I really dug deep into what is my program going to look like? What is it, the outcome I'm wanting? And stop thinking about, the success and the big picture or the big numbers that I hope to have the first year and just focus on the work. And when I started just focusing on the work, then the success just comes. We in real estate, by the way, if you guys didn't know, when you signed up for go to real estate school, you agreed to be commission based and to work for free. And so I just got really okay and accustomed for working for free until I didn't. And so stop focusing on the money, stop focusing on that, just focus on the work. And from that, then they closed 150 transactions, then they closed 250 transactions and so on those next years. So really my coaching then took over so much that I wouldn't say I stopped selling, but I'm definitely not lead generating for real estate now. I'm just taking on past clients, but my success has kind of come from sticking with it. Kind of like the first thing where I asked you about breaking through that ceiling is focus on what's not working and try something else and just sticking with it.
That's so good. And you're going on what, 7 years now running this program? Is that right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'd say you figured it out, and I know your success without oversharing how that's created an amazing life and lifestyle for you. And that doesn't happen unless you're helping other people win and succeed. It's the purest, most genuine form of success through others that there is.
Yeah.
So I heard you say basically the switch came from when things weren't going as you had hoped. Not a failure, but just weren't going as you had hoped. You changed your mindset and you started to begin with the end in mind. You stopped making it about Gina's interest and truly putting them first. Coincidentally, things really exploded for you. And I heard something really, really important that you said. You basically said, commit to the process, consistency, divorce the results, marry the process. So could you just talk about that a little bit, and then I'll shush and turn it over to you for the last one. How do you accept committing to the process when you're just chasing the results initially?
Yeah. So like literally, again, breaking it down in segments, what do I need to do to grow first of all? So what's the process to grow? How can I maximize my time with recruiting talent? And what do I need to keep doing consistently to keep growing, keep growing, keep growing? So I got up to 80 agents just in my one market center, and then maybe 25 between the other couple. So when I was focusing on that, then we grew, right? And then I started hiring my first launch coaches. Then in agent trainings and one-on-ones and accountability, I just kept focusing on the agents and what they needed, providing what they needed, and just really focus on that. So every day when I'm coming in the office or I'm working at home or working from my car, everything I'm doing is focusing on how I can serve and help others. And by doing that, it then, their success then, of course, turned into my success too.
I love when certain quotes that we often quote are like actually we're living them. We're not just quoting them.
Yeah.
It's Zig Ziglar. He says, help enough people get what they want, you'll have everything that you want. Maybe I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically the gist of the quote. And gosh dang it, that's true. So you're living proof of that. So that's really cool. And I'm proud of you for making that transition essentially, which is hard. It's a mind, sometimes going from success, which it's not bad, right? But success is about us. It's what's in it for me. It's how does this benefit me? That's success. To living a life of significance, where it's helping other people achieve their versions of success. And it just comes full circle. It's a beautiful thing. So good job.
Yeah. All right. My last question for you. What advice would you give someone stepping into a leadership or coaching role for the very first time, especially when they're still growing themselves? So they're maybe still in production. Maybe they're a new broker of a brokerage or just starting a new brokerage. Maybe they're just becoming a coach for the first time. What would you tell them is something that's so important when they're stepping into that new leadership role?
Having a personal growth plan. I'm trying to give an answer that's not like the canned scripted answer.
Yeah.
It's in my bones. I feel this is so important, and so many just miss it, man. It's having a personal growth plan. We have an exercise for this at the locker room, but essentially it's taking a 12-month calendar, and inside of each month, what are you going to read? What are you going to listen to? Do you have a coach, and how often are you meeting? Is there a conference or an event that you plan on attending? Who can you go shadow? It's all these things that make up a personal growth plan. And here's why I say this, because most of us, know how to set goals. And the things that we traditionally set goals around are things like what I want to achieve. In real estate, maybe an agent says, I want to earn this much money. I want to close this much in volume, or these many units. It's always a result, measurable in that sense. But how many of us set goals of who we need to become? It's more of this elusive kind of a goal. Who do I need to become in order to have the things and do the things that the person I desire to grow into has, right? And so I just believe strongly in personal growth and development plans. Proximity matters. I would tell this person to create the plan and, of course, execute the plan around reading, listening, all the personal growth, traditional stuff, but also to find your tribe. Find the who, because proximity is such an important thing, and it's becoming this buzzword that you hear out there in a lot of circles. And it was once presented to me this way, and I'd like to share it with all of you. I'll use my dad, because I would be disowned if I wasn't a Chicago Bears fan. It's back to football, I guess, even though I live in Wisconsin. So I'll use the Chicago Bears. If I bought my dad and I tickets to a Chicago Bears game at Soldier Field on the 50-yard line front row, how much do you think I would pay for those tickets? 50-yard line, front row. That's like the best seat in the house, man. I'd probably pay thousands and thousands of dollars for those two seats. For what? For proximity to the game, for proximity to the players and the coaches. So you can't tell me proximity doesn't have a certain value to it, versus he and I just having a good old time on the couch, eating Cheetos and chicken wings, watching the same game, but on television for free. There is not even a comparison around the experience and the value of that experience, but it's the same game. So proximity for a leader, a young leader, to others who are leading, and maybe they're a chapter or two or a whole book ahead of them, it is priceless. There is an absolute value to getting into close proximity with those who are doing what you want to do or have achieved what you desire to achieve.
That's awesome. I love that. So like, again, even with the agents in the office, putting yourself in an office around other successful people that are doing the things that you want to do is going to put you in a place to be able to achieve that way more than if you don't.
No question about it. Yeah. I mean, I was the young punk kid who thought he knew better than everything with an ego, because we've heard this before of like, oh, if you want to earn $250,000 a year, well, go hang around people who are doing $250,000 a year. It's like, yeah, but we start creating all these limiting beliefs and excuses. Listen, it's freaking true. You can drive in your Toyota Camry and get to your goals. It's just going to take you a little bit longer, or you can hop in the Ferrari over here and get there a heck of a lot quicker. Not saying you won't hit your goals, but do you want to get there quicker and more efficiently? Then you will do so through having a personal growth plan, like I mentioned, and a big part of that, creating your own inner circle, your own personal board of directors, or that tribe of people that you can get in the same room. You can have a seat at the table with them, and they will pour into you and mentor you and do all that. It just levels your leadership lid that much quicker than you trying to fumble around and do it on your own.
I love that. That's awesome.
So,
thank you,
Gina. We did it, girl.
Hey. We went over just a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah, there's no time limit on these things. We're good. I thought it was absolutely awesome, and you gave us some serious gold nuggets to think about and digest here. So thank you for that. Last and final question. I never prepare anybody for this, but just take it anywhere you want to take it. Just a words of wisdom, a success hack, a little nugget maybe that you haven't said yet that you would want to give agents, other coaches, broker owners. Just tell us one more thing that you would give words of advice to.
I think that we're in a business of making connections. And knowing that, like, I was a communications major in college, and my family and friends would say, what are you going to do with that degree? And I said, I don't know. Now I do. Like, that, all that communication really has helped me know how to talk to people, know and recognize, what's their personality type? How do I need to adjust mine? But again, just knowing that whether it be in real estate for growing my database, or recruiting and growing my downline, coaching, who do I want to, surround myself with? If you're not making connections on a regular basis, whatever direction you're trying to go in, it's just not going to work. It's all about communicating and making connections with people.
I had no idea what you were going to say as an answer to that. And I'm so glad you chose that, just because what a great subtle reminder. We're in the relationship business, y'all. Like, my goodness. And in a world where social media is making us the least social than ever before, artificial intelligence is becoming more and more something we all depend on to think for ourselves. Like, I am so happy you just brought it back to ground zero, which is, dude, if you know how to communicate and go make relationships with people on an authentic level, you're going to be fine. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's so good. So good. All right, Gina, how can somebody connect with you if they're say that I'm an agent in your area and I would like to speak with you, or maybe I'm a leader who is looking for some other advice or even coaching itself? How might somebody get in touch with you?
Yeah. I mean, they can follow me on social media, DM me. My website is gfkwcoaching.com. There you go.
Perfect. Say that one more time.
gfkwcoaching.com.
All right. I'm going to pull that up on the screen here. Hopefully I did that right. gfkwcoaching.com.
Yep. Or on social media is always easy enough too.
Perfect. Or on social media. So there you have it, everybody. Make sure you connect with her. No matter what, Gina's just an abundant-minded person. Otherwise, I wouldn't be running with her. She is very busy, so I'm not trying to abuse her calendar here, but I know she'll help you. No strings attached, but seriously, she's got a lot to offer. I think you have a few spots still available on your leadership coaching calendar. So if that's you, look her up. Awesome. Cool.
Thank you, Jake.
All right, everybody. Well, Broker Showdown, round 6 in the books. Knockout TKO. Great job, Gina. We appreciate you, and hopefully we'll do this again sometime.
Awesome. I look forward to it. Thanks, Jake.
You got it. See you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.